Good morning, evening, or night to everyone. This is your host, Catalina and Spalding. We are back with episode 4 of John Wayne Gacy Devil in Disguise. This is our take, our review on the interview slash documentary that is on Peacock. John Wayne Gacy was a serial killer. He was convicted of being a serial killer in Chicago. And it has also been brought to my attention that um I am a little loud apparently in this that not everybody from the United States or from this neck of the woods would know exactly what we're talking about. Basically in these podcasts when we're doing the reviews over the documentaries and interviews, air quotation marks, since y'all can't see me doing this shit. I am basically, this is my way of kind of showing everybody that is not really doing a lot of research on these people.
Not familiar with it.
Or not familiar with it. They run across these documentaries on these streaming apps that are just basically designed to fill space. That's what these basically feel like. Because the last one was what? On Paramount? Ed Gein was on Paramount, and that one I actually found out was they were not lost tapes. They were there.
Right.
But, I mean, they were used wrong in the documentary. Not everything was up to par on it because I've listened to a lot of podcasts. I've listened to a lot of YouTubers on the videos and seen the stuff that they've dug up on these people and news articles and stuff like that. No, they're not portraying them the way they should. They're not doing a full interview or documentary with these people. They're just throwing it together.
Right.
So
they didn't want to keep using the same lines from the quote unquote interviews, and just it's all repetitive. They're not actually letting you figure out from the criminal standpoint. They want you to learn from the interviewer standpoint, the police perspective, and the family's perspective. Not really so much getting into what creates the mind of a serial killer.
Because I mean, nobody really knows that. Okay, and
that's what we're really trying to figure out with these podcasts is we want to give y'all insight into the mind of a serial killer.
Yes, we would love to be able to find more actual documentaries and interviews with these people because I mean, most of these people are actually dead and gone. I grew up as a kid hearing about these serial killers like Ed Gein, Gacy, Manson, the Night Stalker, Dahmer. I mean, the Game Show Killer. I mean, all of them.
Now, what I think we should try to get into on future podcasts is possibly do some more reviews, but also do our own research and see if we can find out what creates the mind of a serial killer.
Very true, but these right now, just because I've run across them,
right?
These reviews on these interviews and documentaries are basically just to show you. Do not be taken in by that. This is everything that has to go along with these cases because there's so much more and there's so much that they leave out, and because they don't want to give these people time or recognition for what they did. And I think that they're missing the key points that people are curious to know what makes a serial killer. And as that being said, we're going to go ahead and jump into episode 4 of, again, John Wayne Gacy, Devil in Disguise, which is on Peacock. And let's just get into it, because they covered a lot of stuff that I was really wondering if they were going to cover or not.
Episode 4 is a good one.
Episode 4, I can honestly say, is a good one, and it'll keep you coming back, and it's not so, what is it? Not so boring. Like, the first 2 were not bad, but the third one, it was just like, is this over yet? I want to go to sleep. Like,
yeah, it just dragged on with the families, and
yeah,
they really weren't saying much on what he really did and how he acted. This one tells a lot more of the court, what happened in the courtroom.
Yeah, like there was 13. He had 13 different psychologists or mental evaluations alone for this case.
Yeah. And 2 of them actually said that he had a multiple personality disorder.
Yeah, 2 of them did.
Because they went and asked him some questions, and he's like, okay, well, do you want to hear it in...
Do you want to hear from the businessman, the family man, or
the construction
business, or it was the businessman, the family man, contractor, no, business owner is what it is, the contractor. Business owner, family man, I think politician,
yeah,
and Pogo.
Yeah.
And they were like, oh, well, you got you got a split personality disorder.
They actually put it in the paper.
In the newspaper.
The next day that he had 4 personalities.
Exactly. And everybody, all the other evaluations and doctors came up with the antisocial behavior disorder. And even Gacy was like, how the fuck is that possible? I threw parties. I was Pogo, for God's sakes. What the fuck's wrong with y'all? Like, really? And I got 4 personalities? Where the fuck did you get that? I just wanted to know what side of me you wanted to know about, as far as, did you want to know about my business side? Did you want to know about my, basically, Pogo's casual side? Did you, I mean, because we all have different sides. I mean, we all have different...
Not saying we all have multiple personalities, we just have different ways to look at things.
Exactly. Like, when you're at work, you have this whole other person that you have to be to meet the needs of your customers or the needs of your business.
Right.
Or, and to be able to be in that mental business state. So I completely understand where he's coming from with that. And, okay, well, do you want to know about me and my family, like how I am with my family? What I see, or what? I completely understand. It's like...
But no, they went ahead and just threw it out there. Oh, well, he's got 4 personalities.
You're just screwed, buddy.
In a way, I think that's what he wanted anyway.
Now they do say that he did have a book regarding court. I don't remember the name of the book right offhand, but it basically told you what you could get away with in a mental health issue range with the courts.
Right.
I mean, it lined it out. Like it and they found it in his house.
Yeah, he basically was...
And he even touched on it in the interview. Gacy said, yeah, but I didn't realize that me saying that, because he just admitted to it. Mm-hmm. I didn't realize that once I said that,
it meant
I was guilty. That's not what I was trying to do. So he basically admits that he fucked himself, which is funny. And that's what I want to see more of. I want to see more of his talking. I want to see him basically shoot his own self in the foot, which he did. It's like several times in this interview in 4.
So far, he's almost
admitted
to something else too. That I really hope that it ends up coming across as him admitting to it in the next 2 episodes, but him having an accomplice.
I know. See, we were thinking that. Like, how could his fat ass be in that crawl space and, put the bodies in there after he had these two young guys?
So far, we
Yeah.
know that there definitely is an accomplice. We just don't know which one it is.
And we don't know who. Honestly, we don't know who.
Right.
Because neither one of those boys are blonde. That
No, he didn't say blonde. He just said light hair,
Okay, light hair point. Good point. Okay, so
parted in the middle.
okay, so before we get deeper into that one, yeah, we were already thinking that he had an accomplice, and so was the cops. Like
Right.
they already kind of had an
Yeah,
idea.
everyone knew he couldn't get down there.
He was too big.
I mean, he
And if he
did.
had back problems, how could he have strung the Jeff guy up?
Right.
And oh my goodness, that poor man. That poor man. But anyways, before we get into that,
Okay. Well, since we're not going into that one yet, I'll wait on that one.
yeah, let's wait on that one. Just hang on 1 minute. Now, they did find 29 bodies under the house, 3 pulled from a river, and the last body, which made the 33 bodies in total, was Robert out of the river that, he said that they were going to be, he was going to be in. He's going to be in the river. But they did pull 3, actually 4 in total from the river. The family of Robert did get closure, but they did have to testify, which they didn't. They didn't even tell the families that they were going to have to testify, and
22 families
yeah,
testified,
against Gacy.
and also so did
A few victims
an
and his best friend.
ex-cellmate slash best friend.
Which I don't even see how he was his best friend, because that just raises the question of, okay, how are you his best friend if the last time you seen this guy, and how did you know about the 33 bodies if the last time that you seen this guy was whenever he had been released? You hadn't been released.
Yes, they both got released on the same day.
Same day. Oh, okay. But they hadn't seen each other.
Right.
And then he had been with the, I guess he did like I guess he had classes um for being able to work with the state in cases like this, because
Right.
he knew the people so well. So I'm guessing he did his own.
He was basically a snitch.
Yeah, this motherfucker should have had more stitches than a football. That's a sad point. Um, yeah. So I mean, that just kind of blew me away. How did you even know about those if supposedly you weren't nowhere near him after that? When all these took places, this took place after the fact.
Right.
But it, and the families were so blindsided because some of them were like, "Wait a minute, we have to point this guy out. How do we know that he really killed them? Because we weren't there. Just because they found the bodies there doesn't mean that we can place our kids with him."
Right.
I would not have understood that logic,
I
and don't, honestly.
The one thing I did not understand was the first victim, which was actually the last victim of the 22 to be
Found.
not found, because he was number 9 to be found. He was number 22 on finding out who exactly it was, but he was
Ah.
the first victim. How did he get the first victim in the crawl space? Because that was before he had it. He could have had an accomplice, because that was before his business started, before really anything started. So how did he get the first victim down there?
Now, see, that raises the question of, did they have that house built?
No, his mom was already living there.
No, they bought that house whenever he,
Right, he moved him and his mom there.
yeah, after his his construction business got off the ground,
Right.
because they moved from the family home.
And his mom was already in bad health, so we know his mom wasn't the accomplice. So I want to know how he got the first body there.
I don't know. He was the first one in concrete, so maybe he was the one. No?
No, he wasn't in concrete. He was
Yes,
right.
he said that's why he put him in concrete.
Oh.
That's why y'all found him under concrete.
Well, then I
See,
wonder
I
if
don't
he was
remember.
one of I wonder if he was the one under the driveway, or in between the garage and the house.
I want to say I bet he was the one between the garage and the house. I would say, anyway, I would say
All we know is he was number 9 to be found and 22nd to be
identified,
yeah.
and then the first victim that Gacy openly admitted that yes, he killed him, but he said he killed him out of self-defense because the guy came at him with a knife. That they had been drinking and partying, and then all of a sudden, blam.
Yeah.
Which was really weird. That doesn't make sense, and I agree with the families. It doesn't make sense. What he is saying is not adding up to what's being said. Not only, and some of his victims that he did not kill but let go testified against him. One of his very first victims that he actually went to prison for was so freaking drunk that they couldn't even use his testimony because, I mean, he couldn't handle it. He was still in that mindset. Gacy fucked him up so damn bad that that poor man, he had a wife, said he had a wife. I don't see how.
And then the other one that was openly gay, Jeff.
Yeah, I don't want to go to that one just yet. Just wait 1 minute because we do need to talk about. Gacy said that there was no testimonies,
Oh, right.
no video, no written statements, no nothing about him confessing. But he read in the paper that there's what 4 or 5 confessions of Gacy, and he's like, I, they never recorded anything. I didn't sign anything. We couldn't find out.
But back in that time, a verbal confession to police was admissible in court.
Yes, but Gacy would not allow the cops to record like from a tape recorder. Yeah, yes, kids, tape recorders. Those were before digital recordings. Okay, videotaped evidence, which yeah, they were actually on videotape. You know, those things before CDs. Those were a thing. We had to use them, and they couldn't even use a written statement that a police officer literally sat down and wrote word for word what Gacy had said. Statement to have him sign it after he read over it and said, "Yeah, that's it." He would not allow them to record it in any type of way. I think it's because he was trying to keep it to where that's all hearsay. That's all hearsay. That was his
Right.
defense. It's all hearsay what they said.
And
It
once
ain't
he
right.
found
It's
out
not true.
that wasn't working, that's whenever he went to the, oh, well, I'll just plead insanity.
Exactly. And
Which screwed him in the long run.
that's good and even more. And that's what brings me back to this one where when he was drawing up the map, one of the police officers or one that was
Detectives.
one of the detectives, somebody in law enforcement, let's put it that way, because I didn't catch what he actually was, said Jack drew the map. Yeah, Jack's the one that put him there. When he asked, did you, yes, Gacy actually admitted to sleeping with the body. Um, he was asked, did you have sex with the body? He said, I didn't, but Jack may have. Well, who the fuck's Jack? That's where the mental stuff comes from, and that's where that book that he read basically bit him in the ass when he did that. So I don't think he had multiple personalities. I think he was just that fucking smart that he was trying to play the system
sure
and
cover his tracks.
Yes,
in the long run,
even if he got caught. But again, that wasn't that it didn't work. It didn't work for your fat ass boy.
One thing we were talking about on the last podcast, I retract my statement of saying that he maybe wanted to get caught. He did not want to get caught. He wanted to keep it going for the rest of his life.
As long as he could. And that's what makes not only me and Spalding, but a lot of the victims' families, like, how do you go from being this business confident social how do you say it, socialist, the sociable person,
social butterfly.
Okay, I thought that was one of those that where if you're a social butterfly you're like the wallflowers.
No, that means you enjoy going out and talking to more and more people about everything.
Okay, see, I didn't know that. Okay, I got that. I didn't know that. I thought it was opposite, so I never used it. But it just raises the question as to, well, then how do you go from this to this guy? Like, where does your brain switch on that one?
And then Gacy's family, well, his sister wanted to say, well, maybe it has something to do with him falling down 3 flights of stairs and getting a concussion or getting hit by a swing whenever he was, what, 13 or 14 and having a concussion then. Or then they said that whenever he was like 9 or something, they had a contractor next door building a house and maybe he was sexually abused.
Which his father became good friends with for a minute until he was all like, hey, can I take John out to the movies or whatever? And his dad was like, oh, wait a minute.
No, he let him go and then
Found out something bad.
and then wanted to kill the contractor.
And they never said what though, because they didn't
Right.
know. They didn't know, so they can't really tell you. Only thing that John even admitted to that he didn't see as sexual was that the guy would show him wrestling moves and it'd always end up with his head in between the guy's legs. What grown man will want a child in between their legs?
Right.
None, I hope, ever. But there are sick people out in the world. And you can't always, even back then, can't always protect your kids from potential predators like that, which is really sad.
Nowadays it's even worse with the internet and everything else, though.
Oh yeah, that's why I don't. I know it sounds so bad to say that I enjoy being, socially awkward around people because you don't know who you can fucking trust now.
Right.
Like even the most. I mean, you can't even go on a dating app or a dating site without possibly running into murderers or psychotic people that want to take you apart and boil you in a soup. I mean, come on now. I mean, they're everywhere. They what?
That's a hell of a way to think about it.
I mean, I'm serious. That's why I have never gone on dating sites. I have never. I've tried everything I can to make sure that none. I've tried to be as careful as I can on the internet as far as no real names have been exchanged or anything like that unless I've known the person. Like I have a couple of YouTubers that are my friends. They still know me as my screen name. They don't know nothing about my real name. They know a little bit about how, like, say how big my family is or changing things that have happened in my life, but they don't know the names of my kids. They don't know the names of, me or my husband at the time that they met me and all that shit. They don't know personal information is what I'm saying. So always protect you and your kids no matter what. Cuz these people are scary. I mean, come on, could you think of Gacy trolling on the internet for fucking victims?
Oh, that would
And
be.
oh my god, that'd have been a sight to see, honestly.
That probably. If they would have had like 99 bodies under the house.
Shit, he probably would have had a whole dump site in the backyard. Why didn't he do it in the backyard? The smell would have not been as bad.
Yeah, then it could have been seen. It was a very populated area.
Yeah, but it looked like a privacy fence in the backyard anyway.
Privacy fences can only block so much, though.
True. But, I mean,
if one of his
people also had to see people go in and then not see them come out.
That's why he always took their cars away.
Most of them didn't even have cars.
Oh, true.
Most of them were walking.
He picked them up so late at night, though,
that he could have left them in bed that morning, and then at night, when everybody's lights were off, he could have dug that hole and threw them in there and just covered it up and started a new flower bed that night. I mean, come on now. It would have been easy. Would have been easier than that. But
then he couldn't use it wasn't meat.
I just wanted a garden. I didn't know there was a body underneath there. Just like he was like, oh, well, other people were using my crawl space that I didn't know about. Like, I didn't know they even did that. Now, one of his victims was 17 years old. He was a wrestler, and Gacy actually knew this boy's family, like mother and father.
And knew that they wouldn't be there one night.
Yeah, knew their every move, basically. Like, he was casing the joint. Like, he was literally waiting for the opportune moment to bring a porn over to the 17-year-old boy's house when his mother and father was not there.
He
At
did not
10:30
call
at
it a
night.
porn. He called it a stag film.
That's what they called porns back then, a stag
know.
film, okay? It just sounds bad because it sounds like you're going into bestiality or some shit. It's like, no. It's not stag. Well, okay, women back then in the porns, and yeah, okay. It fits. It fits. Very heady women back then. Very, very, very.
Anyway, back on subject.
Vintage porn will never be my hobby, I promise. But yeah, at 10:30 at night he brings us over, and it's back on one of the film reels.
Yeah.
I don't even know what the fuck they call them. But that's the only thing I
Had to
think
bring
of.
the whole projector and everything.
Which is crazy. Because it's not like one that you see in Walmart today. I almost said Kmart. Not like not like the ones you see in Walmart nowadays or on Amazon. It is literally you have this little cartridge that holds a roll of film that doesn't. I don't even think they had sound. You had to play the sound from a tape recorder.
No, they had sound. Some of them had sound.
Some of them, but not all of them.
But anyway.
Which is crazy that you had to feed this film into to project it onto wherever you're projecting it onto, which is really crazy.
Right.
Because we had those when I was in school. And then you got into the overhead projectors. And then you got into projectors, which was after my time. But it's okay. But he tried to handcuff this kid. He started wrestling with him, got one handcuff on him.
Ended up getting the second one on him.
And then walking away like he had to take a break.
Wait, unbuttoned his pants, took his pants down.
Yeah.
Walked away, but didn't have one of the handcuffs on real tight. So the kid slips the handcuff off. Gacy walks back in. He tackles him with a wrestling move.
He sweeps his legs out from underneath him, basically. He takes out his legs.
Sweep the legs, Johnny!
Exactly. Gets the handcuff key out of Gacy's possession and slaps him on him.
Right.
Completely blindsiding the shit out of Gacy, which was awesome. And the kids was like...
He just lets him sit there for 7 or 8 minutes.
Like, okay, you good? You good?
Are you done now? Are you done?
Are you done? Because, I mean, I got you. I win, you know. But and Gacy was just like, even quotes that Gacy said that he was the first one to be able to get out of the handcuffs, much less put them on me. Ever.
Right.
And the kid was like, should I be impressed? Should I be screaming my head off? What the fuck should I be doing?
Just taking the handcuffs off and ran.
Yeah, he's like, in retrospect, I probably should have taken the handcuffs off and ran and screaming my head off for help or something. But I didn't. I let this man just sit there. And never told his parents about it? Like, never said anything to anybody?
How do you really explain that one? Oh, yeah, let some older guy in to watch a porn, and then he tried to handcuff me, so I handcuffed him back.
I just let him leave. I didn't know what else to do. I didn't think y'all would believe me anyway. I wasn't drunk on I swear, but I think he was. Yeah.
I mean, how do you explain that one to your parents? Yeah, I let him in, but I didn't know.
Well, he knew him. Yeah, I was like, I didn't know he was going to be that stupid.
Well, why'd you let him in?
He was y'all's friend. I didn't know. And with the stag film, like who? What 17-year-old is going to want to watch a stag film with maybe? I don't even know how old Gacy was back then.
Right.
It doesn't even say, it doesn't say how old he was. In any part of the documentaries, that's so weird.
You know what else it never said? That I recall anyway? When Gacy was even born. So I mean,
I don't think so.
We couldn't even do the figure out how old he was.
Yeah, the timeline. I mean, we could probably look it up, which we probably will for um for episode 5, which will be out tomorrow. But yeah, that's kind of weird because we're like, damn, how old was this guy? But just judging from, he's got to be at least in his late 30s, early 40s.
Right.
He's got to be somewhere in there. And because, I mean, he's already got elderly parents by the time he goes into jail for the first time, or in prison for the first time. There's a difference between jail and prison. Yes, I know. For those people in the back going, God dang it, there's a difference. I know. I can hear you. Shut up. But that's what I mean whenever I talk about they don't really give them the necessary, or give us the necessary information that we want to be able to put pieces together on our own timeline. Say we were making a timeline of this, we want to see how all this fits, and maybe we can figure out what they were thinking at that point in time, what was going on in his life at that time for this victim, or why was it drastically changed for that victim. Did he have the same MO for all these, or was it just, kind of like Criminal Minds?
Yes.
Yeah, or was it just, oh my God, this one, but claw hand, but law has chosen, type of thing. But that's what I want to know. See, that's what I want to know. How different how often does his time periods and motives and techniques change throughout this period of time? Like, it doesn't change how he picks them up.
No.
It doesn't change that he gets sexual gratification from the shit that he does to them.
It kind of changes, because some of them were just people who were looking for a job, and some of them he just picked up on a random street corner.
This is true, but I mean, as far as what I mean is, the way that never changes. That's what I mean. That never changes. He has the one where those are by chance. Hey, he needs a job. Okay, here's this. Come over to my house. Or I'm going out because nobody's waiting for me hiring you. So I'm going to go out at night and I'm going to find a victim. So that's what I'm talking about. His tactics never change on that one. What? I'm not worried. Over 30 minutes, we're doing good. We're actually getting all of our information out. We're doing pretty good. So our podcasts are getting a little bit longer, if y'all hadn't noticed, and I hope that y'all are enjoying that, because we are at 33 minutes right now. So now back to the first victim that Gacy did go to prison for. You started talking about him earlier. And I kind of shut you down a little bit. The one that was the kid. And then you went on to Jeff.
Oh, yeah.
So we're going to touch back on the first victim that they had to basically, when he went to prison for him, he had to testify in this trial, and he couldn't. They had to throw it out because he was so freaking drunk that they were like, no, we can't use your shit. We cannot use your statement. So move on. Next thing. So Gacy's victim, Jeff.
Oh, yeah.
One side could not use his testimony. They told him, the defense told him that if he put out his book that he had written, they could not use.
Yeah, the state side couldn't use his defense because he put out his book.
But the other side could.
He went to the defense side so that he could
get his story out there.
Right.
Which is really crazy, because that man really deserved justice. He really did. Especially because going back to the third episode? Going back third episode or second episode?
I think it was second.
Either way, going back a few episodes about them saying that every victim was basically gay. No, they weren't. that every gay relationship was basically consensual. It's not, never was. This poor man, I mean, he got the fucking brakes beat off him.
And chloroformed and
Burned by the chloroform. And
sodomized.
oh yeah. Whatever could go wrong with his body, as his partner stated, did go wrong. He was still bleeding from areas when he walked into that police station for a while. And there was a lot of blood loss. That's super fucking crazy to me.
Mm-hmm. And then come to find out that it may have been more than one person doing it to him.
Exactly. See, this is where it ties into, because he remembered on the stand, this poor man, the first time he took the stand, was trying to remember all this and trying to explain it to them and what he had went through, that he threw up.
Mm-hmm. They had to shut the courtroom down so they could clean it.
And then he was finally able to get the entire thing out. And it was crazy. It was completely freaking crazy. But yeah, that's where he remembered that the second time around, that he was like, I remember this door was like, it had in the middle had like this, what kind
partition glass.
Yeah, which is what?
A small window.
And wasn't it also like hazy?
No.
Wasn't hazy? It wasn't one of those.
No, he just remembered it from a light getting turned on, and then he was able to see it. The reflection off the window.
The reflection off the window. And that a person, he could see a person?
Yes.
Bless you.
But anyway, yes, he saw a thin, light-haired man with a part down the middle of his hair. That's all it really says.
And that's all he could remember. And that's when everybody was thinking, oh shit. Oh shit. What?
Anyway,
that's when we did talk about his best friend, actually. Yeah, his best friend did testify against him at the trial. Did testify at the trial, and the first victim. So that, I mean, that basically covers everything except for the two that he had living with him at two different times, the two young boys that actually dug in the crawl space.
I
that
don't
actually
touch on them so much until we find out if they were possibly the accomplices.
They had to have been.
I know, but
one of them
that it was
right. But one of them had the top lawyers in Chicago on his side,
right?
Where the other one didn't. The other one didn't have a lawyer, so that makes me wonder.
And I have to say, for you gotta let me know when it's time for the closing statement on this podcast, because I want to say the final thing that they said in that episode, because I don't know, it's pretty interesting to me.
Okay, that was random.
Yeah.
Okay, you kind of threw me off with that one. Next time, just say it. Okay? Don't interrupt me like that, because you just really screwed up my trail of thought where I was going with that. Yeah, so I guess on that note, I'm just going to go ahead and let you do the ending statement, because I don't know. Like I said, we covered everything. I think we should talk about those boys, and that's where I was trying to go with it, and like I said, you really threw off my trail of thought on that. So yeah, I hope y'all enjoyed this episode. I'm sorry about the ending, that it was fucked up. It's not like a normal one. So again, this is just our reviews, our thoughts, our feelings, our interpretations on documentaries that are on streaming platforms. well, like the big named ones like Paramount, Peacock, not really YouTube because most of them do a shit ton of research. But the ones that really don't, you can tell it, and that's what I really want to put the focus on. Don't hang all your facts and beliefs on just one source of information. Go and do the legwork, find out about what interests you. And if this was really true, what dig a little deeper into what you're looking at on these streaming platforms. But this one is on the John Wayne Gacy Devil in Disguise, and I hope you guys have a good day, good night, or evening. And
So one of the last things that was said in episode 4 was whenever Gacy was being taken back to the prison, the detective asked him, "So now that all this has happened, how many victims are there really? We know about 33, but how many are there really?" And Gacy tells him, "Well, I think 45 sounds like a good number." So I want to see if they actually ended up finding any more bodies.
so, on that note, you guys have a good one.